Hi, my name's Larry Sanford, and I am the chairman of the New Brunswick Sport Fishing Association, otherwise known as the NBSFA.
And my name is Bert Beek, and I'm the vice chairman of the NBSFA and the former chairman for the past 2 years and 5 years prior to that.
Yeah, you've been involved with the NBSFA for quite a while there, Bert. So I'm hoping to draw a little bit of information out of you tonight, if you don't mind.
Not a problem.
Okay. So we have a purpose on why we're doing this video, and it really comes down to the NBSFA. We're going to start a YouTube channel to highlight a couple of key things, and one of those is a TV show that Dennis Wilson used to do. Do you know anything about that?
I've seen Dennis's show a couple times, well before I get into bass fishing. Tight Lines, I believe, was the name of his show. I know it was shown on the local TV channels here in New Brunswick. I believe Channel 10, much like Rogers runs Channel 10 now. I don't know, I've never been involved with Dennis on that show, but I do know it was in existence. I do know it was very popular, and then for some reason it just went away.
Okay. Well, we've got about 4 shows that were on analog tape that have been converted to digital format now, and they're going to get put onto this YouTube channel. And it's going to be a forum for us to be able to highlight the New Brunswick Sport Fishing Association as well. Can you tell me a little bit about the history of the NBSFA, Bert?
Yeah, the NBSFA has been around for the past 23 years.
Wow.
We've been very successful in running the NBSFA. It's based on a volunteer basis. We pay nobody, with the exception of our fish handler and a few guys and gals that we have checking the boats in the morning and in the evening, and along with marking boards and so on and so forth. 100% of the profits go back to the fishermen. But going back to 23 years, what we found that, or not so much me, but a number of others, what we were doing is we were using local groups like Lions clubs and other organizations such as that, and we had them running our tournaments, but they would keep 25-30% of the profit.
Okay.
So we said, well, let's put this together ourselves. Let's run this based on a volunteer basis with the chairman, the vice, treasurer, and so on and so forth. And we've done that. And for the past 23 years, we've been zooming right along, and I suspect we'll be around for many more years to come. Further to that, the NBSFA is a not-for-profit organization registered with the province of New Brunswick.
Okay.
So we are registered. We're not-for-profit, and so on and so forth.
All right. So with that, then, like, what do we give back to the fishermen?
The fishermen itself, of course, we run 7 tournaments throughout the year. We've got 3 3-day tournaments and 4 1-day tournaments. As I said earlier, we provide 100% payouts back to the fishermen. We don't keep anything. We run the tournament series itself based on sponsorships and other smaller things that we might do, flea markets, that kind of thing, right? Barbecues, etc., etc. But 100% goes back to the fishermen. As well, any sponsorship that we get in form of prizes or goods, if you will, all go to the fishermen as well.
Okay.
A little bit different than other tournament series that run, because there are a number of other tournament series, not so much in the province, but in other provinces that run. They take so much off the top to pay people, then their prize structure is a lot different than ours.
So out of the 7 tournaments that we run every year, you said there's 4 1-day tournaments and 3 2-day tournaments. One of those 2-day tournaments is run out of Oromocto, and it's the Dennis Wilson Memorial Tournament.
Correct.
You talked about payouts, like that one there pays out a little bit more, right?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. Can you explain why?
Yeah, God bless Dennis. When Dennis passed away, within his will, he left a bunch of money to the New Brunswick Sport Fishing Association, and we as a former board of directors took that money, and in conversation with his family, we've decided that an additional $10,000 each year would go towards the Dennis Wilson Memorial. What we didn't want to do is we didn't want to take, say, 50 to 100,000 and sort of put it on one tournament and then it's over. Because Dennis had a vision that he wanted the New Brunswick Sport Fishing Association to last as long as it could, right? So that's what we've done. We're taking $10,000 each year and we put it towards that tournament. The first year we ran it, we actually put most of that money on the first place. Last year we made an executive decision not to do that, to take that money, that $10,000, and break it down with so much on first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and so on and so forth. We find that way it's being fair to the fishermen. It gives those guys that may not have that confidence that are going to finish first or second or third type thing. You might come in fifth and go away with a couple $1,000s type thing, you know what I mean? So it spreads the wealth, if you will. And we find that it attracts a number of folks out of Nova Scotia, mostly out of Nova Scotia, and of course the majority of the guys out of New Brunswick.
Okay.
So it's a big field. It's 50, 55 boats type thing. It's a big field for us. It's a well-run tournament at Oromocto. It's a 2-day event. The only bad thing is the St. John River itself. It can be miserable down here at times because of, you got a number of things. The dam, you know, the water with the tides, or the tides in or the tides out. Is the dam open? Is the dam closed? Is it raining? Is it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it's a great tournament, and that was one of Dennis's favorite bodies of water to fish.
Absolutely.
So, in keeping with his family's wishes, and of course Dennis's wishes, and hopefully he's up there looking down at us, saying, "You guys are doing it right."
Yeah, and the St. John River on a bad weather day, it's a big body of water.
Yep.
So it's just amplified, and on a great day, everybody else is out on the water enjoying it as well. So there's
Yeah,
complications
there's
that way as well.
some complications. Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure.
You talked about 50, 55 different boats out on the water for that tournament. How many members do we typically have in the run of the year?
Usually we'll get approximately 120 to 140 members per se. On average, some years we've got 45 boats per tournament. Some years we've had as low as 30. You know, we've had as high as 50. I can remember when we first started this, it'd be 110, 120 boats.
Wow.
If you take 110 or 120 boats on Harvey Lake, that's a lot of boats on a small lake.
It is.
And we had trucks and trailers lined up for a half a mile to, you know, down one side and up the other side of the road, and parking lots full, so on and so forth. I find today it's an expensive sport, you know, doing it yourself. You know, most of the guys that are within our organization are senior, if you will. A number of them are at the retired age or getting ready to retire, and so they can afford that. For a young man with a young family to get into it, it's a bit difficult, but we're there willing to help them out if they want to come out and fish with us, of course, you know.
Okay.
Or take them along for a ride, see if they like it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Try out.